Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cardistry Talk. This is episode 37. Editing Caleb here. This is definitely episode 36. Back to the regular episode, though. Today I'm joined by Leon Tai. You may know him from streaming on Twitch, his YouTube channel. He's also been in the community for a very long time, and I'm super happy to have him here today. Leon, welcome to the show.
Hello. I'm very glad to be here. You're doing great work.
Yes, I think you've been doing really awesome stuff, too. I'm always a
Thanks.
big advocate of people having cardistry and other streams of media. So the fact that you're on Twitch and YouTube, rocking it there is really cool.
Oh, cool. Thanks. I've always felt like there's so many artists that you see drawing on Twitch, but I was very surprised when, uh, I think Burger Carlson's like the only active cardist on Twitch right now, which is very surprising. I think.
Mm-hmm. I feel I mean, that's partly why I started this podcast and everything, but like we're so focused on Instagram. I want there
Right.
to be like other streams for people to find cardistry, like not even for cardists to enjoy cardistry, but for people to find it outside of Instagram. So it's really awesome the work that you're doing over there. How did you kind of come back to streaming and get started into that?
Mm, so initially, it was just me trying to play video games. But then I also at the same time I've been slowly finding my love for cardistry again. I got pretty jaded of it after a while, but um I was thinking like Twitch is a very interesting platform because in contrast to YouTube and I guess Instagram, like the main platforms for cardistry, Twitch has a lot of interact like the main thing is like interaction with the streamer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I saw it as a very interesting way to I guess for laymen to experience cardistry because it's no longer like a one-way thing. They can type in the chat like, oh, this is very cool. Can you do this? Like, what else can you do? And then I can show the appropriate stuff. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of why I pivoted from video games to streaming cardistry. And so far, it's been great.
Yeah, I've seen you do like some workshops and stuff, or at least one workshop in the past. I
Yeah,
think that's like really cool. I know for cardists or people just starting out, it's really hard to just
yeah,
learn off of video. So, like you said, having that two-way interaction, I
yeah.
think is really helpful in terms of learning cardistry, and also just feeling like you're a part of a community.
Right. Then I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like I was thinking like as a beginner in cardistry, seeing all these I guess good people on Instagram, they kind of feel a bit intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah, so I also thought that Twitch would make I guess approaching a more experienced cardist like a bit more like a bit easier. Because I would like to think I come across as friendly enough to like
Yeah,
talk with.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool too, and I think that's what's cool about what Burger's doing too. That
Right.
interaction. I don't know. Have you ever done like looking at other people's move? I know Burger has done that on his
I,
streams.
I'm going to start looking at doing that soon, but yeah, we'll see. I just did a collab stream with him like just a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. But like you said, it makes it just more approachable, which is really cool. I don't think people who start off realize how easy it is to just message people on Instagram. Um, People constantly are doing it. Um, so I definitely could see why it would be intimidating though, especially like you see a super clean profile and you're just like,
Right.
oh, they just started and were amazing. Like, because you don't get to see like how they started and everything that the learning process they had to go through.
Yeah, my profile's super messy. I just post whatever I want on it. But
I honestly, I wish more
yeah.
people, or I wish more of people were like that. Honestly,
Yeah, everything's super polished nowadays. Like you see the guys from Anyone. I think there's this new brand out called Missing. And then everything's so curated. Um the people's appearances on those brands are really polished, wearing these cool streetwear things. They're like, oh, I'm so cool, look at me.
yeah.
And yeah, I guess this offers like a different it's a different way of doing things, I guess.
Hmm. I think I think I read in a post you said you've been in cardistry for like 13 years or something,
14 years. Yeah.
14 years. So
Yeah.
like you've seen kind of how cardistry has changed over time. Back in like the earlier days, how it was
Yeah.
like webcams and like jump in chat and stuff like that to like how
Yes.
it's super polished now. So I don't think people realize that there was a time where it wasn't like this. Like everything's really sloppy and like in a kind of good way. I'm kind of nostalgic towards it because I've been out of cardistry
Same.
for a really long time. So like I came
Hmm.
back and it was that switch. Um,
Oh,
so it was really
wow.
cool.
Okay.
But I do kind of miss like the old days where like videos were filmed on webcams from one angle, really
Uh, uh,
like fast.
yeah, I think the webcam was a. I feel like it's a very interesting limitation because it kind of forced people to different, think more creatively in terms of like the video side of cardistry. So if you see people like Jonas, like
Hmm.
his old webcam videos were mind blowing. He like keyframes the camera movements. He puts his webcam in different areas to get different points of view. And even though like the footage is super like potato pixelated, he still
Hmm.
does this very elaborate zoom ins. So you're zooming in on a pixelated image. It looks, you can see the squares, but then like you can see the artistic intent behind what he's trying to do. And yeah, those videos were really cool.
Hmm. And like it's just something that we don't like. There's something about old cardistry that isn't a new cardistry that I kind of feel nostalgic for. Um, since, like I said, you've seen a lot of cardistry throughout the years, no matter like how active you've actually been in the community. How do you
Yeah,
think things have changed in general besides that?
about like the community.
Yeah, the community or just in general.
I think for starters, it's so much. There's so much information that's readily available. So like learning things, like I think the rate of learning, like, people improve really fast nowadays.
Hmm.
Like, it took me like 2 years to get decent, and then I see people on Instagram who've been doing it for like 6 months or like a year, and then they're already amazing. So that's one thing, and that's one good thing. But I feel like, because back in the day we only had forums like Technique, Theory 11. So I would think the community back then was a lot more close knit,
Hmm.
because it's just a few of us in like the one forum. Then you see like the same names pop up every now and then, and that's how you get to start talking. And that's how I kind of got to know like the other Singaporean cardists, like Jasper's, Ling, like Kenneth.
Hmm.
And like with Instagram now, you kind of just like follow other cardists, and maybe um you leave a comment on their post, and then that's I feel like that's the extent
Hmm.
as to how cardists like interact with other cardists nowadays. And because there's just so many cardists right now, so I feel like maybe there's not it's not as it doesn't feel as close knit as last time. I
Hmm.
maybe just be like a boomer thinking, oh, the good old days back then was so much better. But yeah, it does feel different.
Yeah. That's what I've heard from a lot of people. I know when I talked with Kevin Ho, he said something pretty similar.
Oh, oh
That,
wow.
you know, the things have progressed. Like we've grown to a point where it's impossible for everybody to know everybody or to be as
Right.
close knit. When I was talking with him, he was specifically saying how like there's a difference between like headliners and then like the normal people now. Whereas before it used to be just everybody was kind
Right.
of experiencing cardistry at the same rate. Um, that's kind of why I started this podcast as well, is so like people could meet other people through me, if that makes
Mm,
any sense. So
yeah,
I know
that
I
makes
have a lot
sense.
of people that will message a guest afterwards and say like, "Hey, I really liked this move I saw," or whatever. It's just an easier way to have that interaction with another person once they've listened to them
Right.
for like a half an hour to an hour.
Right. Yeah. Again, what you're doing is really cool. Like, I think you're the only cardistry podcast out there right now, I think.
Yeah, I'm the only one consistent, I'll say. There are other ones
Damn.
out there, but I'm the only one that's trying to be weekly here.
Damn. Respect,
That's the
respect.
goal, at least consistency. I'm not gonna
Respect the
be
grind.
I'm not as well known or anything like that, but I can be consistent.
But yeah, I think what you said about Kevin talking about headliners, like I do think like I guess some people come off as like celebrities,
Hmm.
like people like the first person that comes to mind is Tobias. You know, there's such an aura of mystery around that man. He's like he's super. His videos are super artsy, and then he's super good at cardistry, super consistent, and yeah, I think with this celebrity thing that's going on right now, I guess some people might feel a bit feel like less approachable.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I definitely feel what I guess what Kevin's talking about.
Yeah, I've definitely felt like um, starstruck once or twice doing these. Like Kevin Hill was one of them, and then
Mm.
Lars was the other. Um, where like while I was recording, I'm like, oh, I'm talking with a big name, and like realistically, in the grand scheme of things, big name artists aren't really even big name, you know. But it is funny how that kind of turns into like celebrities, almost like mini celebrities. Like when I was talking with Ben Sherrill from Sherrill Cardistry, he
Right.
said like when he went to Cardistry Con, it's like you're seeing like all your favorite celebrities in like one spot. Like you just look around and it's like you see everybody that you look up to. So it is kind of interesting. Um, One thing that I have written in my notes that you said you wanted to talk about, and I'm really
Yeah.
interested about talking about as well. And this is also kind of in the topic of how things have changed over time.
Right.
But you want to talk about how there's a difference between perfecting moves and kind of creating moves, and how things have kind of shifted from in
R-
terms of that.
right. So I was also talking about this on my stream with Burger Carlson. Um like people create moves at a alarming rate. Okay,
Hmm.
alarming makes it sound like a bad thing, but people just churn out new moves like bam 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 bam. And I I feel like it's almost like they make a move, they release the concept on Instagram, and then it never gets touched again. Like they release it just to say like they release the move just to say like okay, this is mine. I've copyrighted this concept, and
Hmm.
then like that's it. And then they move on to making another thing. And um admittedly I've not seen a lot of cardistry in recent years. Like but I remember when Darren was talking about he was telling me when he created Water Wheel, I think he spent is it 4 or 5 years like perfecting it
Hmm.
to the point where when he showed it off in I think it was first shown off in um like the virtuoso deck with the blue and orange back
Hmm.
design. I think that was when people first saw it in motion. And oh, it looks so it's a mind blowing move.
Yeah.
And I think not a lot of people know that there's like 5 or 6 years of R&D behind that move, which is like insane amount of time, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, but because he put in that amount of time, like the amount of work he put into that move, like that's the reason, part of the reason why it's it's so great.
Hmm. It's like
I,
a classic now almost.
yeah. No, one thing that blew my mind is when I saw that move in my head, I was thinking, no way Darren gets it consistent in real life. But when I met him in real life, he's just doing it casually. He's not even thinking about it. He's like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, he's talking to me, and then he's doing the one-handed shuffle, and then he's just doing it. Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I feel and yellow. It does yellow. It does feel like that's kind of missing a bit right now.
Yeah. I will say I've mentioned this in the past, but it seems like the Verts are one of the few groups that kind of are focused on perfecting moves more so than just churning them
Yeah,
out, like you said. I think that really shows in some of their videos. You know how
yeah,
they might not be doing like the most crazy complex moves, but they have it down perfect and at a perfect video angle. I
Yeah.
think there's something to be said about that could be explored a lot more. Um, like
Yeah.
how can we make these displays like springs, anaconda, stuff like that, water
Yeah.
wheels? How do we make it like an inch bigger? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know
Right. And
it's like with wanting to claim ownership of a
yeah.
concept, I totally get that. I remember um, back in the day, I don't remember what cardistry competition it was. It wasn't Cardistry Con, but Ladislas, however you say his name,
Yeah.
he released a move on one of his videos, and like it was something I had made, and I'm like, well,
Oh.
it's his now. I think he's posted it. I remember how crappy of a feeling that was. Even
Right.
if he could probably do it better than I could, but but I totally get like wanting to have it out there and claim ownership of it. But
Right.
like you said, it comes out so much too that I don't think people revisit stuff as much, like the things they made
Right.
early on to really perfect it, or it's kind of just out there and then they're
Mm.
done with it.
And I think what people tend to overlook nowadays is I feel like consistency when doing the move in real life. Like when you're showing the moves to the other people. So I have one very like this experience with Darren happened back in like 2008, but it's still ingrained to my mind. So I was waiting with him at like a bus stop, and then I was asking him, "Yo, Darren, can you do the King Cobra by Devo?" And he's like, "Yeah, I can." And then he does it, hands facing the road. And then he tosses the Cobra and catch it. He does a King Cobra, tosses it, catches it. Like if he screwed up, the carts would have been all over the road,
Mm-hmm.
and like cars would have went over it. And just seeing him doing it like that really blew my mind. And whenever I see him perform like flourishes in real life, he rarely messes up, and he's doing it at the speed at which he does it in videos, which is like super fast. And yeah, that's kind of what I want my cardistry to look like in
Mm-hmm.
real life. Also, like to be like consistent.
Just to be able to bust it out and do it first
Yeah,
try, something super impressive. Yeah, there's something really cool about that. Having something like just super impressive that you can just do
yeah,
super easy. I mean, that's awesome. I think what we see too is we don't see a lot of uncut stuff anymore. I know Burger has played around with that a little bit,
right,
but people aren't really consistent enough to do uncut stuff. Maybe that's because we're pushing the boundaries of moves and they're like becoming super difficult and
right.
stuff. But you don't really see uncut stuff anymore, which is interesting. And I think this is partly the reason is because we don't have it down pat to where we can do it and just break it out every time.
Right. And there are a lot of moves with like aerial elements or elements with like packets balancing on each other, and I feel like those are harder to get consistent because there's the element of gravity and
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
The littlest
Yeah,
mess
if the
up or
packet
whatever.
is off by a bit, then it doesn't balance properly or it
Yeah,
doesn't turn properly. Yeah,
you get what I'm trying to say. Like
yeah,
off by a centimeter and then it's all ruined. But yeah, I think it's interesting how that's kind of changed over time. I think it comes to what we were talking about earlier too, with like everything being super clean with posts and on
right,
Instagram. People don't really come back to redoing moves and stuff for again, because it's already up there. Or if
right.
they do, they delete the original.
Oh
And
man,
I think that like that can be kind of hurtful too when we this is a whole nother topic, but like because we have stuff so clean and so polished
yeah,
on our stories and stuff, like beginners don't get the chance to see that you had there's a starting ground for you as well. Like you didn't start
yeah,
out amazing, and it becomes a little bit intimidating for some newer artists to start out because they just see everybody just looking perfect right out the gate. Like all they see is perfection.
yeah. Like which is why I think a while back I made a video called "Cardistry is Hard."
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Yeah.
me talking about yeah, and yeah, I feel like cardists tend to um I guess cardists, if you're doing it after a while, that you kind of forget how just objectively difficult cardistry is.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess beginners tend to forget that as well. They see these super polished performances and they think, oh, they got there in a day or in a week. when it's actually years and years of practice behind that one performance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the
Yeah.
like the most basic stuff that we just kind of fidget around now and do too. Like for me, one hand cuts like Charlier scissors, like
Right.
the really basic stuff. Like I just sit there and I don't even think about it. There was a point where I had
Yeah.
to sit down and like look at every single detail and
Okay.
like my fingers were hurting and like it took a long time to actually learn those beginning things.
Yeah, I
Um,
had that experience with L cuts. So
yeah.
when I was first learning L cuts, I couldn't get them down. So there was one night where I was falling asleep on my bed, and I was lying down, and I was doing L cuts in my hand. So I would just practice doing L cuts lying down until I fell asleep. That was how I practiced my L cuts, and then after doing that for a while, I kind of just woke up one day and I was able to do it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just kind of you were probably doing it during your sleep or something.
Oh my god.
um, yeah, but you forget about those times. Cardistry becomes easier the longer you do it, just like
Yeah, for sure.
any activity. But you kind of forget how hard it was going, like the very early stages for a lot of people, especially like I hate to say like small hands are like because like you can work through small hands, but it is harder
Yeah.
for people with small hands,
Yeah,
and
there's just
especially
like
for
one
them to
more layer of
understand.
yeah, there's like one more layer of thing to work through.
Yeah.
But it is possible.
Hmm. Um, so looking back on my notes here, I want
Right.
to talk about a topic that I talk with like everybody because this is like one of my favorite topics.
Right.
Um, so, and that's the creative process when making a move because at the
Okay.
core of my show, I want to explore like how do we make better moves, what makes a good move,
Right.
and how do we create. So when it comes to you creating a move,
Yeah.
what is kind of the process for you? Do you sit down and do it? Does it kind of happen randomly? Do you even try to create moves?
Mm.
What's it like for you?
Okay, so disclaimer, I am not a creative cardist at all. But I guess the few times where I've created moves, I usually stumble I just like fiddling with random concepts and then I'll stumble upon something and then I'll be like, oh, that's cool, and then I'll try to revisit that concept. There are a few times where like I've done something cool like unconsciously, and then my brain will be like, "You've done something cool. Let's try to recreate it." And then I just forget about it, and
Yeah,
it's always so sad.
all
But
the
yeah,
time.
I don't really create much. Um, I would say you first of all you don't have to be creative to be a good cardist.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then I would say like my philosophy makes it sound more deep than it actually is, but how I approach cardistry is I just learn whatever I find cool. So and I guess the moves that I find cool are moves that you're able to do fast and be consistent at. So moves like which is generally like packet cuts, so stuff like
Hmm.
squeeze cut, mocking god, a lot of the Dan and Dave stuff. Yeah, so cuts that you're able to be consistent at and you're able to do it quickly are the cuts that I gravitate towards too. So if I did want to create a move and if I put my one brain cell power worth of power to creating moves, that's the kind of move that I would want to create.
Hmm. And I mean that's cool. I think there's definitely a place for all types of ways to experience cardistry, how you enjoy
Yeah.
it. So it's completely up to you. I mean, there's no proper way to do any of this, you know. Um, I do feel like I would like to see more people like like with the perfection of moves and stuff like that. Like more people trying to
Right.
perfect moves and
Right.
instead of we just have such a boom of creation right now, and I understand why cardistry is so unexplored. It's so new. It's so
Mm.
fresh and fun, but I do think there is a place to kind of perfect, um, take like the best of cardistry and then be
Mm.
able to show it off to other people in that way. I think that's something that Shanu Lashan does really well. He combines like his
Mm.
really good video editing and
Yeah.
then moves that are just wow the layman, and it's a
Right.
really good gateway for people to learn about cardistry.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, just experience cardistry however you want. That's great that you kind of enjoy perfecting and learning other people's
Yeah,
move and have a style that you clearly like and know that you like, so
yeah.
you know what to look for.
So I'm very similar to Matt Fox in a way where I know Matt talks about, oh, like he really remembers like all the moves. He has this vault of videos, and
Mm.
I too have a vault of videos. In fact, what he was talking about was people trading cardistry videos over MSN Messenger. I think that kind of reveals my age a little bit. Like, yeah, we would trade these videos from Darren. Like, oh, yeah, I'll trade your Mockingbird tutorial for your underground move tutorial. Like, yeah, sure. And then we'll do it over MSN Messenger. And um, yeah, like the way he talked about knowing like Dimitri moves, I do the same thing for moves by Darren.
Mm-hmm.
So like, oh yeah, the squeeze cut he does in this particular video looks different from the squeeze cut he does in this other video, and like all these like stupid
Mm-hmm.
random factoids about like Darren's moves. Like, yeah, I'm that kind of level with. Man, I'm such a fanboy. But yeah, that's all I had to say.
Yeah, that's cool though. I mean, a lot of this stuff is starting to go missing, I guess you could say, or like not
Oh no.
accessible. A
Yeah.
lot of the early stuff. So like the fact that you can remember that stuff's great. Um,
Oh, actually, just to go on a tangent for a little bit, I don't know if anyone noticed. There's this YouTube account. I think it's called Cardistry Archive. Like, there's a bunch of like old webcam videos on there. I don't know. Like, I think I'm the only one that knows this. I don't think anyone
I've
noticed that
never heard
account.
of it. It's on
Yeah,
YouTube.
yeah, yeah. It's on YouTube. I think there's some. I think they are inactive now. I think they last uploaded like a year ago or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's interesting. It could be Ethan Butler, and that's the person Matt was talking about, right?
Yeah.
It could be him. Like, who knows?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'll link that in the description if you guys want to check that out. I'm definitely gonna check it out afterwards. Um, but yeah, I think it'd be really cool to have like an account like that. Or I don't know if you saw Shivrov. He's got like started Cardistry Origins where people post like the first
Oh,
video they ever made.
oh wow. I've not heard of that.
Yeah,
That's a really cool concept though. Wow.
yeah. I don't know how like active he is. I don't know how many people are like open to like putting their first video out there. But he
Right.
has like at least a couple posts over there from big name people, like the first videos they ever made.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I remember the first video I made. If I could get my hands on it,
Mm.
I I would I would spend money
Oh wow.
because it was so bad. I can just picture it in my head. I remember what it looks like, but it's the file's gone. It is the worst thing you've ever seen.
Oh no.
But
Okay, I
that's why I
remember my
want to
first
find it.
video.
It's like watching a train wreck. Um, yeah. Another common question I had, I know we've talked about mocking God a little bit here.
Yeah,
A lot of people wanted tips on mocking God because obviously it's a really hard move to learn.
right.
So do you have any tips on how to learn it or how to perform it better?
All right. So here's a PSA about tips. Like, if you're asking on general tips, it's very hard to give an answer because there's so many things.
Mhm.
So PSA, if you want to ask about tips on moves, be specific. So like for Mocking God, maybe it's the left hand, maybe it's the right hand, maybe I'm stuck at this particular area or something. Yeah, if you're more specific, it helps in giving general tips. Otherwise, like,
Mhm.
all I can say is practice. So the general
Okay.
tip for Mocking God is the rhythm. So keep, like, when you see Mocking God performances by like Zui, so keep in mind at the back of your head like the rhythm of how the card moves.
Mhm.
So sometimes when I'm looking at moves, I actually, there's like a internal like metronome in my head that runs. So like for squeeze cut, like the sounds that I hear in my head when I do the move, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Mhm.
Yeah. So whenever I do squeeze cut, I always, in the back of my head there's that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a very weird tip, but I hope that made sense.
Yeah, no, you kind of have to get the rhythm like just by playing around, and you'll get it once, and then you'll have to replicate it.
Yeah.
Or at least that's how it is for me. If you guys want more tips on mocking God, can catch Leon on a stream sometime and
Just
ask. Get that
can catch me on
interaction there on
stream.
Twitch.
If you want, you can DM me on Instagram. I'll try my best to help you.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's gonna need the details because it's complex. Just looking at you doing it now, I have no clue what's going on. I've never tried to learn it. I don't really want to be honest, because I feel like it would take me a long time. And then another question I have, as it turns to like tips and stuff, do you have any tips on how to like properly train for a move? Like how to go through the steps to learn it to where we can just bust it out or do it quickly?
So the one tip I always give people is like all these complex moves can be broken down into like smaller moves or like segments. So the way I got smooth is I would practice these like segments, and then I would make sure the transitions between the segments are as smooth as possible. So like I guess I can demonstrate like for Civil. So you have this one packet transfer, and then you have this other one, and then you basically have three. You can break Civil down into three like packet transfers. So I would sit down on my bed, I would go like this, and then I would just get comfortable with doing the segments by themselves. And then once I figure that I'm confident at doing the segments individually, then I would slowly cut down the pauses between the segments, and that's how you get to like, oh wow, that was bad. But yeah, that's how you get smooth. That's how I explain to people how to become smooth.
Yeah, so just break it down into digestible segments.
Yeah. And then the important thing is the transition between the segments have to be smooth. And Darren has this quote famously, the smoothness gives the illusion of speed. Yeah, so yeah, that mantra has been in my head for forever.
So at the end of the show, Leon, I usually do what I call the rapid round of questions. This is just 3 minutes, and the goal is to answer as many questions as fast as possible. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
Sense. I'm ready.
Okay. I'm going to start a 3-minute timer, and we can get started. So to start out with, favorite type of food?
Japanese food.
If an actor portrayed you in a movie, who would it be?
Wow. Keanu Reeves.
There you go. Android or iPhone?
iPhone.
All right. Favorite move? Cardistry move.
Squeeze Cut by Darren Yao.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Wow. Recent times, Whiplash. Whiplash is pretty good.
Yeah, I really like that director. Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Summer or winter?
Winter, because it's basically summer 24/7 in Singapore.
Fair enough. Favorite deck of cards at the moment?
School of Cardistry V6. They're really good.
Plugged. Favorite restaurant?
Restaurant. Well, there's a lot of like hawker centers in Singapore. So restaurant is McDonald's fast food restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
McDonald's. I love McDonald's. That's a controversial. But favorite TV show at the moment?
Favorite TV show. I've been watching this one called Kim's Convenience. I think that's pretty good.
If you could have coffee with any Disney character, who would it be?
Wow, Disney. Wait, does Marvel own Disney? Disney own Marvel, right?
Yeah. So I guess that Marvel works, yeah.
Damn. Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr.
Alright. Cats or dogs?
Dogs, 100%.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Have you ever broken a bone?
I have not broken a bone.
What would the title of your autobiography be?
Wow. Damn, that's deep. My autobiography.
I thought that was your title for a second. Damn.
Oh, okay. My autobiography would be.
Skip.
Doing what you love is how to live your best life.
There you go. Favorite band or musician?
Wow. Favorite musician? The Weeknd. 100%.
Do pineapples?
Oh no.
Timer?
Do pineapples belong on pizza? Yes, they do.
Yes, you know where I was going already. At the end of the show, Leon, I usually do what I call roll out the red carpet. That's just my way of saying, is there anything that you would like to promote or any last nugget you'd like to leave the audience with before we head out?
Wow, okay. Okay, so this is where I do all the plugs.
Yeah. Plug away.
So you can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/Leon Tai. My Twitch channel where I do my live streams is twitch.tv/LeonTaiCH. That's LeonTaiCH. And you can find me on Instagram at Leon Tai.
Mm-hmm. And just like always, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, the links will be down there in the description. Leon, thanks for being on the show. I hope everybody learned something, had some enjoyment. Yeah, we will see you guys on the next one. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
See you.
Bye.